Welcome to the Never Gets Old podcast with your hosts, Mac Jackson and Nick Narrow, celebrating all we love in TV, movies, comics, and music. Share your questions, comments, and artwork on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and dieheroic.com. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of actually our 50th episode. I guess it's an anniversary of the Never Gets Old podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson.
And I'm Nick Narrow.
And yeah, big news for our anniversary, if that's what we're going to call it, I guess. If it's a 50th, why not?
Yeah.
Because I never pay attention to, okay, on this date was when we started to do it. So I just go by the numbers.
Right.
But big news, lots of stuff going on. As far as the podcast goes, we have a new home other than the YouTube page at MacWJack. We are now shown on dieheroic.com. And Nick, I'll let you give you were good at explaining it to me.
Well, basically, one of my buddies started up a comic book discussion website. And it's hard to keep up with the really top tier comic websites, because we're never going to get news, at least not now, not currently.
Right.
We're not going to get news directly from Marvel or DC. Maybe some of the indie publishers might give us the same news that they give Comic Book Resources, for example. But so we wanted to just start off as more of an opinion website was the idea. Instead of trying to break news, it's more like, well, how do we feel about the news that's broken? And maybe people would be drawn to that because, as great as those other websites are, and I know that they also have opinion or review articles, their hands are a little tied. They can only say so much, and a lot of it's just sterile. It's just, here's the information, cool. But, I mean, I know you like, and I like, and there are other people who like to just hear the opinions, whether it's so that they could see if their own opinions are validated, or, if they're on the fence about something, they're unsure how to feel, just hearing other people's thoughts on stuff is always helpful. I find it helpful, and I would hope other people do too. So that's the kind of direction we wanted to take with the website when I spoke to Dan Cheek, who is the owner and operator. And, Mac and I talked about it, not on this podcast, obviously, but in another, over the phone and stuff, about how this podcast would also fit with that, because we're covering lots and lots of stuff. And the website's more of a pop culture website, but with a comic book focus. So it still covers, it still fits in there. So we said, well, why not? If it's just another piece of content that could go there, and we could partner up with that. And so it's a good place.
It's fantastic. I'll tell you, Dan, just in the few weeks that he's had it up, he is busting his butt on it.
Yeah, he really loves putting stuff out, he's really good at it.
Yeah.
I wish I had more time to throw even more stuff out there, like writing and things like that. But I say it every time I'm on the podcast that life is crazy, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but it has been a roller coaster this past year, and then even more recently, it's been crazy. So I only have so much time, and there's so much stuff I want to get to, and I need to like shut my phone off and lock my doors and make people think I'm dead or something so that I can just hide away and work on creative things and then just pop back up and be like, no, I'm sorry, I'm fine.
Well, for those who haven't checked it out, it's dieheroic.com.
Mm-hmm.
We have a nice staff write-up, Nick, Guy, and Cheek. So far, it's the three of us. But we have a couple of friends of ours that also love the stuff that we love that come on.
Mm-hmm.
Corey and Brian. And Brian has been on this podcast before. He was on.
Yeah, he was on in the very early.
I think it was like the third episode. Anyway, so if you check it out, it really, it's a nice, you explained it well. I think it's a nice, it's a fan reaction type site, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're not breaking the news, but we're right after it. Like, we're not going to be the first to tell you about something, but we're going to give you that info plus our 2 cents.
Yeah.
And Dan writes, almost every day he's writing a review or an opinion piece on various stuff. Yeah. Like right now I notice he has Jem and the Holograms First Look. He has that posted. He posted the Avengers 2 poster, the newest one.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah. But so on there, so far he's loading up, and he's starting from the beginning, so you could always go back and rewatch our previous episodes of the Never Gets Old podcast. The MacGyver podcast is on there. And Nick has a new podcast, the 2 Cent Society.
Yeah, it's more of, I mean, I guess it could be a podcast. It's more of a video roundtable show. But you don't necessarily need to watch or like see it. No, nothing really crazy is going on screen. So if you pull up YouTube and you just want to hear some people talk about different topics, that's fine as well. But giving us the views is nice, and subscribing is also good. It's on our Die Heroic YouTube page. But yeah, the idea of that is, I'll read forums or even just on Twitter and stuff, and there's always a lot of discussion that might not get covered in a really thorough way, of specific topics. Like the first topic we covered was what are the biggest differences between Marvel and DC, which I talked to Mac and Dan about, and I think we covered a lot of bases.
Oh yeah.
On that topic, and I think if you never really thought too much about it like we do, or if you're new to comics or something and you don't know whether you want to go jump into Marvel or DC, it's a pretty good place to find that information, and we'll be covering a lot of different topics like that. Like we talked about, what do you do with Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's the second episode that's up. We have a bunch more that I have to finish editing and put up, but we talk about who is Marvel's Wonder Woman, what was the all-time best comic cartoon. The topics will vary all the time.
Fun.
We only cover one at a time, and everybody gets a healthy say on the matter, and
yeah,
I like that idea for a show. So
and they're typically too they're fun topics that everybody does have an opinion on.
Yes,
it's not like I don't know, I don't root for that team, so I can't listen. No, it's jump in, and there's definitely something that you can have a thought on. And that's the other thing too. We encourage everybody to leave comments underneath, chime in, hate it, love it, whatever. That's the whole point.
Yeah. And I went on the page the other day, and there's not many views on the show just yet, but there's a bunch of downvotes, which, I mean, if you're downvoting the show for the quality of it, please don't just yet. I'm still working on it. I'm only working at a certain level. Yeah, I just mean completely aesthetically as far as quality goes. If you are downvoting it because you don't like what we're saying about the topic, then,
Let us know
say
why.
something about it more than just downvote. Like, oh, I disagree with you, that's why I downvoted, and
I
then
know we've talked about this before.
discussion.
Can I tell you? I did a little experiment on my own just to
Okay.
see how long it would take for someone to downvote something. And so the last couple podcasts that I put up, within 2 minutes, it got downvoted.
Okay.
Now, anybody who's listened to our podcast knows our podcasts are far from 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's no intelligent thought. I figured that's what it was, but I wanted to make sure before I went out and said it. But now it's been proven that I would say the majority of the people or this one guy who decides to go and say dislike, they just do it because they think, I don't know, they're funny or they hate us or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I don't know.
There's no rhyme or reason for it. So I don't put any weight.
Well, maybe it's possible it could just be bots on the computer that do it. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, at least offer a constructive criticism if you're gonna downvote it. I'm not confrontational in if someone says, hey, your show is not that good, at least I could be like, well, do you mean the presentation of it? Cause, I'm working on a $0 budget for the show. Or do you mean, you don't like what we're saying or you don't like us as people? Which number of things are you referring to?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like, shut up, you're stupid. Unless you say something really stupid. I probably will just ignore that. I won't get into internet fights over, nonsense, not worth it comments, but.
Like, honestly, I want to hear some intelligent thought. I don't mind criticism at all as long as there's thought to it.
Yeah, yeah.
But apparently, whenever we get that, it's because somebody or like you said, bots, or it's someone who thinks that they're funny or whatever.
Right.
You're a big poopy head. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made a rule for myself that, because we're starting to, we've been doing this podcast, for I think like 2 or 3 years now, probably 2 at least. And then we're also doing a bunch of video stuff, and you never know what's going to blow up, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you can never tell. So the rule I made for myself in the event that something gets super popular and we get notoriety and, for whatever reason we get a wave of Twitter followers or all sorts of followers on different things, the rule I made for myself is that I'm never ever going to argue with anybody on social media or on anything. Discussion, it's a fine line. I'll have maybe an intelligent, thought out discussion with people, but I'm never gonna, if someone writes, you're a piece of crap and you're ugly and nobody likes you and you're not funny and you're not this and you're not that, I'm not gonna address that stuff. It's just
right.
You never see Hugh Jackman go on Twitter and be like addressing the people who are like, you're the worst Wolverine, or I hate you, you're a bad actor, like not to say that I'm Hugh Jackman or anything, but like, he doesn't waste his time on naysayers. Hey. I'm sure he probably sees that stuff, but why bring yourself down, I guess is the point.
Exactly.
I'm just, so I will avoid that as much as possible.
When I first learned about that and this is before college, which was when the internet came out.
Yeah.
When I started to perform, I had to realize, and I don't know if I realized it before I did or right before, it was early, thank God. But if and from performing, you go out there and you do it for you. Here I am, a teenager going, okay, here we go. And imagining what if, and you have to play the worst case scenario. What if people say, I hate it? Not only do I can ignore it. I want you to know I hate it. That could be tough to take. And I knew, then, all right, I could put my heart and soul into this and somebody could still tell me it sucks. I have to be prepared to let that just roll off my back. And then when the internet started, so the internet starts, chat rooms start. That's when the real opinionated debates, became a thing. That's when the real test was. Because most people, when you perform, aren't going to tell you suck.
Yeah.
They're going to go, yeah, it's good, and they'll walk away. But on the internet, people love to tell you how they hate you or hate your thoughts or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And that was the real challenge. I've had some big debates with people on various things, and boy, I just have to, the mantra that keeps going through my head is, don't tell them they're an a-hole. Don't tell them off. You got to try and stay calm.
Yes.
Yes.
As a very young person, if you're going to perform or put something out there, it's really, really tough to keep in mind that, there are just some people who won't like what you're doing based on any number of reasons. And they're not the only people out there, but they might certainly be the people who will tell you that stuff. I find a lot of times, even in my case, like, if I like something, I don't go out of my way to tell, the person creating it that I like it. And I think that's true for a lot of people as well. It's the vocal minority that's always either one extreme or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And most lie right in the middle. So yeah, there's that. And then also, as far as chat room stuff, or not that I can't even imagine the last time I was in a chat room, probably when I was like in 6th grade, trying to talk to adults or something like that. I won't go any further than that, but like forums or whatever. I'm always on forums, and I hardly ever post. But I made it a point recently to be more involved in, the toy community.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a secret show that I'm working on right now that I'm not even going to say the name of it, because I have a name that's good, not copyrighted, not
right.
an idea that's really solid, and when I drop it, it's going to be a secret. And it's something I'm just doing all by myself, and I have it scripted for the most part and everything, and I can't wait to do it. I just need time. But it's toy related, and so I wanted to be more visible in the toy community because I'm doing customs, and also just, I want to be part of that community.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people who go on these forums and they have, bad opinions or misinformed opinions, and you never want to walk into a forum and go, you're wrong, it's this, if I've ever had to do that, or not had to, but if I've ever had factual information that needed to replace somebody's incorrect information, there's a proper way to do it without coming off like a jerk.
Right.
And you just have to handle it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the facts will show through over the misinformation that could be out there. So you just kind of have to go there and say, this is what I've heard, not to, ruffle any feathers or whatever, but pretty sure it's this thing. And then if your facts are actually facts, it's going to show, down the line,
Right.
and people won't be mad at you. But if you go in there and go, where'd you get that stupid information from? You're stupid. Then obviously some people are gonna say like you because you're a jerk, and then other people are gonna be mad because you're a jerk. But I think you could find a road to walk down that's
Yeah. Well, that's
let
like,
everybody know you're not an a-hole, I guess.
yeah.
So yeah, I avoid fighting on forums too.
I think that's where the real skill comes in.
Yeah.
You know, because I would say the majority of the world doesn't have that skill, and doesn't try to learn it either.
No. And it's hard because it's kind of two extremes as far as, again, toy forums go. You know, there are a lot of really intelligent and well-spoken people that have the same hobby that I do. And those are the ones that will be on forums, you know,
Yeah.
for the same reason I am. You know, they want to talk with other people who are smart and have ideas and are creative and things like that. And then there's the other hand where there's the shut-ins, you know, like the people with very little social experience, I suppose I could say. And they have probably a lot of trouble doing what we just said, you know, walking the right line of social interaction, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And they come off very abrasive and things like that. And I know when I read those comments, I don't get mad because I know it's probably more that than just a jerk that exists out there, just being mean just to be mean. But still, there's a way to address those people that other people can't do as well. Even smart people. Some smart people just go, "You're a jerk. Stop being a jerk." And it's like, that's probably not going to help.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
It just doesn't help. You know, like when you tell someone who's acting crappy that they're a crappy person, that just makes them, it kind of like fuels the fire, so to speak.
Right.
You know, like the only way to really affect a negative person in a positive way is to properly show them that they're incorrect, I guess. And it's not just to tell them to shut up because they're dumb. You know, that doesn't work. That just makes people dig their heels in the sand deeper and, you know, kind of fortifies their position.
Exactly.
You can nicely show, like, hey man, here's what's wrong, or woman, I suppose, anybody. Here's what's wrong about what you think. Here are the facts on it, you know, like, and they can go from there, I suppose. But just fighting's stupid. Like, I've watched it on Twitter for months and on forums for years, and it's just like, it doesn't accomplish anything. You never change anybody's mind that way. It's like,
exactly.
You just gotta speak facts. That's one thing, you know, like, I never want to go into a place and not have the facts and talk. I mean, I guess that's just my whole life, you know, like, if there's some thing or discussion that's going on and I know nothing about it, I'm just going to be like, let me listen so that I can learn or figure out what's true or whatever. Because you just look stupid otherwise.
Right.
You know, like, I can't go into a mechanic's shop or whatever and start being like, well, I think it's this or that, because I know nothing about cars, you know, like, I can go to a mechanic and be like, my car made a noise that sounded bad.
Yeah, it goes clank.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be like, well, I think it's the engine, and they're like, no, it's the transmission. And it's like, well, yep, what do I know? I'm not a mechanic, you know, so But there's so many people that do that, you know, they just, I don't know.
Out of their butt.
Yeah, they just need attention or something, I guess, but
Yeah.
whatever.
So yeah, check out dieheroic.com. Let us know what you think. And we're just going to keep adding to it. So if I've had people throughout the world who have said to me, you know, in my country, I can't watch YouTube. I'm like, well, I can't do anything. Like we've said this before. I'd love to have our podcast audio on, iTunes, but it costs money that we're not making. So that doesn't happen right now. But at least they could go to this website and see some comic book stuff too.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, one way or another, one of us will start making money, and then hopefully we can all start making money.
Exactly. Hey, well, this is a big step in the right direction, anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like, I'm gonna post my secret show just to my own YouTube page, but then I'm gonna take it from my YouTube page to Die Heroic. But I'm gonna do that because I want to monetize the video.
Yep.
And if for some reason it gets a ton of views, then, you know, I want to be able to keep track of that,
sure.
I suppose. You know what I mean? And if I make lots of money on that for some reason, I mean, it's unlikely, but if I did, then whatever money I make, I'm always going to put back towards more creative stuff, basically, and just hope that I can keep compounding and making money on creative stuff.
Right. Right. Oh, hey, let's share the other news that I've been biting my tongue on since our last podcast. You got engaged.
I got engaged. I was actually engaged during our last podcast, but I completely forgot to talk about it. Yeah, it's I got engaged on Christmas night. Mara has been wanting to get engaged for a long time, and so did I. I mean, it's not like I didn't, but I just couldn't afford to buy a wedding ring. But I told my mom that I wanted to get engaged, or that, you know, I was going to try to save up for a wedding ring and whatever. And she said, well, why don't you use my mother's wedding or engagement ring? And I was like, I can do that? And she's like, yeah, I'll find it for you.
Aww.
So that's what I gave to Mara. I gave her my grandmother's engagement ring. It's very nice. It's a very pretty ring. And Mara likes it a lot, so that's good. And I gave it to her on Christmas. I did it in a very goofy way.
Yeah.
It wasn't really romantic. I didn't get on one knee. I barely even proposed because she's been kind of like, when are we going to get engaged? When are we going to get engaged? When are you giving me a wedding ring and, or an engagement ring for years now? So I told her, well, when I do give it to you, I'm just going to hand it to you and that's it. Cause you want it so bad. You won't let it be romantic. You won't let it be spontaneous or whatever. So, or not spontaneous, but like a surprise. You're basically just asking for it. So I'm just going to give it to you when I do, which is pretty much what I did on Christmas night. Again, she didn't expect it or anything, but on Christmas night when we got back to her house after we had visited everybody and opened all the presents and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I have one more present for you. And she's like, what do you mean? And I pulled out the little ring box and I just handed it to her. She's like, what is this? I'm like, open it. and see what it is. Obviously, it's a ring. It's in a little ring box. And she opened it, and she's like, what is it? I'm like, it's my grandmother's engagement ring. And she was like, really? And she was crying and stuff, and it was good. And, yeah, it wasn't until after the fact that she was like, that wasn't romantic at all. And I was like, I told you it wasn't going to be.
What did we learn?
Yeah, I told you. But it's a funny story. And when she tells everybody, like, it wasn't romantic, he didn't bend down on a knee or all this stuff, they're like, yeah, but it's funny. It's memorable. You know, like, everybody does that. You know,
Right.
it's cute and stuff, but a lot of them aren't necessarily memorable, so.
Right.
I don't know. But in any case, yeah, we're engaged now. We don't have a date, so
Right.
that's the next question. We don't.
No.
But everybody asks, you know, like, even people I see on a regular basis, they're like, you set a date yet? And it's like, I will tell you for sure when we decide on a date.
We kind of want people to show up to this, so, you know.
Yeah, you know, and when we do set a date, you're going to have more than enough time to prepare or whatever, but yeah, she still has school, and we want to get, you know, on track before we just go and do it, so.
Sure. Well, you know, Paul Reiser had a great skit that he would do. And he would say, it's like everybody is in such a hurry for you to get to the next step. When are you going to meet somebody? Okay, when are you two going to get married? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to have another? When are you going to die? Like, you know.
Right.
It's true, though. There are those people that just can't enjoy the moment.
Right. You know, and I think I had to help Mara with that too, because she has a hard time just enjoying the experience rather than setting the dates for expected things, I suppose.
Sure.
It's like, we weren't engaged for the longest time. She's like, I want to be engaged. And, you know, then now she is. And it's like, okay, so now it's this thing. It was a pedestal you put it on, but now it just is what it is. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
You're in the middle of the next step.
Right.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
I ran into your mother, I guess, the next week.
Yeah.
So, I guess it was next week or whatever. My great niece had her baptism at the church where your mom is.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, I bet you're gonna see Linda. And I did, so that was nice. I'm like, congratulations, you're gonna be a mother-in-law.
She's excited out of her mind. I don't know if she said that to you, but yeah, when I told her that I was going to propose at some point, and she offered for me to use the ring, she was like, when are you going to do it? When are you doing it? When? And I'm like, I don't know yet. I'm afraid. Just let me do it when I feel like doing it.
So, yeah, you know what? Now, I'm not getting engaged to you, Mom. Relax. You know?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that she was very antsy about that. And then, you know, after it happened, she's just been like, just very excited and talking to Mara a lot and via text and stuff.
Aw.
And Mara and I actually, we found my mom's Pinterest page, and we were spying on her a little bit, and she has so much wedding stuff in there. It's like, oh my God.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you, it's wonderful compared to the alternative.
True. Yeah, true.
You don't want a mother who hates who you're going to marry.
Right, of course.
Awkward.
To my mom's credit, as far as I know, she's never hated any of the girls that I dated. She was always very nice to them. And again, like, as far as I know, but she's never said, even, you know, all these years later or after the fact when, if they broke up with me or whatever, we stopped dating, you know, she was never like, well, I didn't really like her anyway. So she was never unkind. She has said that about people my brothers dated, so I don't think she's, you know, just being nice necessarily, but yeah, so I don't know, but I do know that she really, really does like Mara, and they do get along. They have a lot of stuff in common, which, you know, they say you marry your mother or you marry your father, and
I hate that crap.
I don't think that that's 100% true, because Mara is not really like my mom,
right,
necessarily, but they do have a lot of common interests.
I've always heard it the other way, where it's you look at her mother because that's who she'll become, and I disagree with that.
That one is more aesthetically. You're supposed to look at the mother to see how your significant other will age.
Right.
Like, on the outside, not necessarily personality-wise.
Right.
But, apparently, whenever you end up getting married, it's usually to someone who is similar to your opposite sex, parent. Or maybe similar, depending on your alignment. So, yeah. I don't want to exclude anybody.
No, yeah.
I'm all for.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm all for marriage of any kind, so long as there's love.
Exactly.
I don't care. You know, whoever you love, as long as it's not an animal.
Right.
Then you know.
That could be a problem.
But anyway, yeah. So Mara doesn't really behave like my mom, but they do share a lot of interests, and that's good because then they get along and they talk and
exactly.
Yeah, they have a good time.
Let's see what else. We got news to talk about as far as like in the world of entertainment.
Yeah, now that we've talked for about an hour about random stuff.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of, well, if there's anything new that you know of, you can start.
What's new that I want to...
I'm trying to think, because, okay, for those who are listening, go to dieheroic.com to listen to our thoughts on Spider-Man now being in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I don't want to rehash that because I don't think we need to.
No, but we are both excited about it.
Woohoo!
I mean, that kind of goes without saying.
Yeah.
I think everybody's excited about it, and we go into a lot more depth on it. And we just talk about, you know, what we think they should do or will do, you know.
Exactly.
Things of that nature.
And let me think. Oh, I was listening. What was I going to tell you about? I listened to, you ever, Brad Meltzer, who wrote Identity Crisis? Well, he's written a lot of books, and I enjoy his writing a great deal. And I just finished one based on his show Decoded.
Okay.
Really, really good. He gets into like the top 10, basically everybody who's ever come to him and said, why don't you do an episode on this? Why don't you do an episode like JFK or John Wilkes Booth. Fascinating stuff because he's, you know, he goes into as far as he's allowed to go with a lot of these answers.
Okay.
And, you know, did John Wilkes Booth really die or did he live out the rest of his days? Well, there's a suspect who he thinks could be John Wilkes Booth, but in order to do it, he has to do a DNA test with the John Wilkes Booth's brother and the guy who they claim was him.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, I guess the family won't allow them to do that. Yeah, it's a shame.
Interesting.
But, yeah, I'm telling you, it's topics I didn't necessarily care about, I cared about when it was over. And one of the big ones was probably my favorite story out of all of it, was they figured out who D.B. Cooper was.
Okay.
Okay. Now, for those who, don't know, D.B. Cooper was a guy who, I believe it was 1971, boarded a plane, took it hostage until he got his money, had them take off again, and then parachuted out of the back.
Yeah.
And disappeared. Nobody's ever found him again. Well, and if you look on Google, I very easily found the pictures of the guy who, it turns out, probably was D.B. Cooper.
Okay.
Fan-freaking-tastic to see. I mean, they get into the details, and the quick rundown is this guy who, I think his name was Christensen. He passed away in 94, and on his deathbed, he said to his brother, there's something I would like to tell you, but I really just can't. The brother started to do a little digging around. Kenny Christensen, that's the guy. Turns out he was a guy who actually worked for the airline. So it was, quote unquote, an inside job.
Okay.
He had been in the military. He knew how to do those jumps out of the airplane. The FBI skipped right over him, never even bothered to look into it like they should have.
Right.
And so they dug around in his backyard where they claim maybe he hid the money. Oh, that was the other thing, too. This guy didn't make much money his entire life at this job. But there's a picture taken right after it happened where he's carrying the bag and the briefcase that they said D.B. Cooper had. They dig around in his yard. They found money, a little bit. Right after it happened, he bought a house for himself. He bought a house for his sister-in-law. A couple other things.
Okay.
And in the end, they've got a infrared type of thing to scan the house that he lived in that has since become a business. Meltzer goes home. He doesn't think, they're like, well, we're probably not going to need you for the rest of this. We don't expect to find anything. Then as he settles in, he gets a phone call. We found something. Up in the attic above the guy's bedroom, there's some insulation that was disturbed. So they climb up there, and they look, and there's a hidden compartment that he had built in the floor that would have held all that money.
Okay.
I mean, that's fantastic stuff.
That's crazy, yeah. I really do love those unsolved mysteries type things. Like I just watched a video by this YouTube channel called Dorkly, and they did a thing on the greatest unexplained phenomenon or mysteries or whatever. And there was a lot of ones that I had heard before, but I didn't, they gave a bunch more facts that I didn't know, or I guess theories and stuff. What was one of them? I don't know. There's names for all of these mysteries, but there was the one where there was a bunch of campers in the woods and they went missing, but when they found their campground, every tent was ripped open from the inside out, and all these people were found missing their clothes, and some of them were missing like limbs and eyeballs, and they said like their injuries were too severe to have been caused by humans, and they couldn't find any sort of animal tracks, and like it was just a really weird occurrence, and that was just one of the instances. But like, my brain goes, wow, that's crazy. Like, what sort of demon caused that. But I know that there's probably some sort of logical, scientific explanation for it. But
right.
The fact that no one could figure it out and still haven't been able to is crazy. And I love reading those things, or even watching that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I'll have to check out that Brad Meltzer stuff.
Oh, you know what? When we get done with this, I have to go up and record the people from the Quantum Leap podcast.
Okay.
Albert Mark Burge is one of the guys. He sent me an invite. He wants me to record a part for his audio drama.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Like what I'm doing for you, he wants me to do for that, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I get to play the policeman.
Very cool.
Oh yeah. I said to him, I love this stuff anyway, so anytime, just let me know. And it's not hard to do. It's fun. Like you said, it's another avenue to be creative.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then I'll let everybody know once that gets posted or released.
Yeah, I'll listen to that.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Quantum Leap, but I'll still check it out.
Oh man, if you could just watch an episode, it's good. I want you to watch it just so you know how good the show was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, aren't they? Wait, are they doing a new Quantum Leap, or am I thinking of Twin Peaks?
Twin Peaks, they're doing.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I wish they were doing Quantum. The guy who created Quantum Leap, he then did. He's NCIS. He does that show.
Okay.
He's done a couple other shows. Well, he's free. The moment that they didn't pick up on the next season, he would run around and try and get it picked up by another station.
Uh-huh.
So the demand is there, and I don't know. It baffles me that nobody has, especially with a network now with Netflix.
Yeah.
Let them.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's a lot of things. They need to find. Back when Quantum Leap was on, it was like the 80s, right?
It started like 88, 89, and then went into the 90s.
Okay. Well, you think about it. The only avenue for television was television. It was either extremely limited, like basic cable, or, cable channels, but not the amount that we have now.
Right.
So it was pretty limited, but they ran with a lot of stuff. There, some good, some lasted, some bad, some didn't. But now with all of the available channels, it's kind of like if you want to do something, especially if it's going to be a continuation of an old series or a reboot of some kind, you need to find the absolute right avenue, which whether that means, channel, or if it's going to be Netflix or whatever, the right cast, the right directors, writers, all that stuff. So, I mean, it's a lot more than just saying, let's throw it out there because people want it. Because if it's a beloved franchise, especially, you got to make sure it's good.
Well, they're doing X-Files now. Did you hear about that? X-Files is getting a new, I don't know if it's a mini-series or a series or what, but...
Like with Duchovny?
Duchovny and, yeah. I mean...
And, what's her name? Scully. Shoot, I forget her real name. I feel bad.
No.
She's super pretty. You know who I mean, though.
Yeah.
They're all coming back, though?
Yeah. Well, here's what happened. She was on...
Gillian Anderson.
Gillian Anderson was on Nerdist, and they were talking about it, and, they have always been all for continuing it anyway. They were never like, all right, I'm done with it, blah, 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 blah. Well, they're like, well, what are the odds that we can get that happen? She's like, I'm all for it. I know I've talked to David, so yeah. And then next thing you know, it's happening. Like, I guess people from that podcast were writing to whoever and saying, make it happen.
Yeah.
And this has only been a couple months. And now,
cool.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to do it with Firefly. I guarantee the moment he's done with Castle, I guarantee they're going to do it.
Yeah, you also, I mean, I think it probably wouldn't happen until Whedon is done with Marvel, but and that would be my guess.
I would see him sidestepping Marvel to do Firefly if he could.
If he could, but I mean, I think Joss Whedon is one of those guys who, I mean, he might feel a responsibility to the fans of Buffy and Firefly, and those are his babies, and I'm sure he wants to do right by them. But he also is the guy who's kind of in charge of the overarching Marvel universe right now.
Him and his brother,
I think if he's said that, you know, I'm doing Avengers 2, and if he, I don't know, I don't think they said who's directing Avengers 3, but if it's on him to do it, to do the 2-part Infinity War,
sure,
he's gonna do it just
yeah,
to make sure it's consistent and good. Because he had, I mean, that's his responsibility right now, and if he can go back to Firefly, he will.
Right.
And he should.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean,
Serenity was a really good... I only saw Serenity. I haven't watched the show yet.
Oh, so. Man. Okay, so you'll enjoy it on a whole nother level then.
Well, I liked the movie a lot when I saw it years ago. So I saw it in theaters just because a bunch of my friends who liked Firefly watched it. And this, I mean, that was before Netflix, so I couldn't just go watch the show and then go see the movie. It just wasn't even available. But I do remember liking the movie a lot. So
yeah.
I meant to tell you, and I didn't want to tell you until we were doing this, but Mara and I finally started Arrow.
Thank God, because that was my next topic.
Okay. I'm not super far. I think we're only about like 6 or 7 episodes in, but I like it a lot. Like, it is really, really good.
It gets
really
better.
Well done.
It gets better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't even imagine, because I think the first 6 episodes are really, really good. So.
Well, here's the thing with the show. Oh, and I had a little back and forth with James Bamford, who does the stunts on the show.
Okay.
And he had done work on Stargate. He was the stunt guy on Stargate Atlantis and everything. So he's a guy who goes in and does the work, but he doesn't necessarily watch the show he's on.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how do you, were you a fan of the show? Oh, I don't watch the shows. I'm like, what? Yeah, I don't. I just go in, I work, and then I go home and sleep. I'm like, oh. But I had said to him, and I don't know if you're picking up on this. Yeah, actually, I just said it, but I tagged him in my post. The fight choreography is fantastic, but there's something about, I don't know who to blame, if it's the director or the actors or what, when they swing and they're supposed to be hitting these people, say in the face.
Yeah.
They're a mile away.
Oh, okay.
And
I haven't seen it yet.
I know from doing that type of stuff, you can come close, and nobody can tell the difference if you hit them or not.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously, it's a combination of you swinging and the person's reaction. But when they show these people swing, they're almost an arm's length away, and it's very obvious. So I threw a little gripe up, just to, it wasn't being nasty, but I said, as great as the choreography is, that somebody needs to catch that. And
yeah, a lot of the stunt work is really good. But I haven't noticed that yet, so I can't really say either way.
Yeah, and he had said, he wrote back and said, and then you woke up? And I went, hold on there, don't go getting, all riled up. I'm complimenting you. It's the whoever is not catching those things. And, he said, well, it's a matter of the directing. But I'm like, I know, agreed. So it was nice to have, some sort of response.
It's more a matter of not directing, unless the director is also the editor. Because the editor should be able to find, well, I guess it could be both. if the director didn't get enough coverage to edit the fight scene to make it look like they're connecting or whatever, then that's on him. But if he did, if there's more than enough coverage and the editor just was lazy and didn't take the time to find stuff where it didn't look poor, then that's on the editor. And then also whoever watched it before they released the episode and
also stuff. The way that they picture this. Picture a melee of fighting, swinging, kicking, Most of it looks good, but that one direct punch to the face where they should be a lot closer.
Yeah.
It was too far. That's when whoever's watching it should go, cut. Because the way that they're filming it, they film it from, say, the back of, or at least off to the side of the back of the guy's head who's getting hit.
Yeah.
If I can still tell that they were a mile away, that's not good. And that's, I think, where somebody should catch it and go, do it again. You got to step in closer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when they do fight scenes, when you do any scene, but especially action scenes, they do the same fight over and over from almost every single angle, and multiple times from every single angle, so they should have had enough coverage to be able to make it work. But I mean, the trick for face punches and stuff is, I mean, I guess there's a couple tricks, but either the actor or the stuntman says, hit me for real, and you have that one take of where you get hit for real, or in the editing room, right before they hit, you cut, to a different angle, and it's like that in that fraction of a second, you go from almost there to past, and you let the sound effect do the work, and the quickness and the acting do the work, rather than, I don't know, I hardly ever see like a shot where it's a straight on face punch and they don't cut away, because it's really hard to do unless you actually hit someone. And even like, for example, professional wrestling, I mean, they hit each other. They don't full on haymaker each other, but there's ways to hit someone.
Yeah.
That you can make it look like you really hit them without it hurting.
The best.
And those people do it in front of, 50,000 people in an arena and on live television, and to not be able to do it on an edited, safe environment like a television show is, I don't know. But I'll have to pay attention more to that. I haven't.
Let me know if you see it, because the best way I've ever seen it done was, for those type of tricky shots, do the shot from over the guy's shoulder who's doing the hit. If the guy's swinging, do it from over his shoulder, because as long as it's passing in front of the guy's face, it compensates.
Well, yeah, and that's typically how it's done. And stuntmen, they have to take stage combat for sure. Like, they know how to do that stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a number of people to blame for it. And the thing is, too, like, the people doing the fight scenes have to know that they weren't even close. So they probably, when the shot is done, it's like, hey, that one was not good. I know how far away I was, because everybody talks on a show, like, it's not like, here, puppets, just do the thing and shut up. Like, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Unless you have a really, really jerky director, but...
well, you know what? Speaking on that type of thing, Cindy said she's been spoiled since watching Stargate, because on Stargate, and again, I'm not blowing smoke or whatever, giving too much of a compliment, but you can really tell when Richard Dean Anderson was the producer because he caught that type of crap.
Yeah.
And not only did he catch that type of crap, he made sure everybody else got to have a say. If they didn't feel it, they were able to go, can we do it again? And not get any sort of crap for it.
Yeah.
And the moment that he left, I mean, not only just with stunts, but like with quality of performance or the minutia detail. Great. And the reason this came up in conversation last night was we're talking about Sleepy Hollow, which we love. And the season finale just happened, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
But for a good chunk of the second season, they were making certain choices that weren't great, or more importantly, they'd make stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the girl, just quick idea. The girl who had the necklace taken off her during the second episode, well, they're talking about how she had it up until the present. That type of stupidity.
Just like oversights and continuity.
Exactly. And it's
Okay.
nothing blatant, but it's to people like us who are paying attention. You go, whoa, nope. No. Or they'll say, I don't remember that happening. Yes, you do, because 2 episodes ago you talked about it.
Right.
And, she made a good point. She said, what you need is, if you're not going to have someone who works there doing that type of job, you should have like a fangirl sitting off to the side to call you out on that crap.
Well,
She volunteers.
Most shows and, just film work in general, they do have a continuity person.
Right.
Or at the very least, they're supposed to. So that's weird. But you know what? It's more with anything. It's how much money and how much time and how much passion do you have? If you have enough of all three, like I'm sure Richard Dean Anderson was the star, basically, of Stargate. So he's going to really care about the quality of the show because the fans care about it. So if he's directing and he has a good budget and the time to put into everything, then you're going to get a really good quality output. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of maybe what Arrow suffers from is they probably don't have the biggest budget. They probably don't have the most time, and who's to say if the director has a passion for the character? But I still think that the output is pretty good, regardless of those things. Again, insofar as I've seen. I do think the cast cares, because the cast is good. The acting on the show is good.
Well, how far did you get with the show?
Like I said, about 6 or 7 episodes only.
Do you remember, like, story-wise where you're at?
Deadshot.
Okay.
Just happened.
Okay.
So that was it. Nobody else yet.
Okay.
Still learning about, like, what happened to Oliver on the island, how he trained, and, like, what happened to his dad, and him crossing off the list of people and stuff like that. So it's...
How quick are you getting through the episodes?
Not quick at all. Because it's kind of like we're trying to watch that show as well as stay current with the stuff that we're watching. Like, I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind on Gotham right now. I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind on Agent Carter. The Walking Dead, I'm 2 episodes behind because, Mara just doesn't have time.
Okay.
And I cannot watch them without her. I mean, I could.
But
I don't, it's, do I want to hear about it?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, you really don't want the crap for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're there, so...
Yeah.
When we get around to it, and then it's like, the reason we started Arrow was we had caught up on everything. Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. was over, and Gotham was taking a break, and everything else, and we were like, oh, we got time. Should we start Arrow? And that's what we did. But now we're behind again. So we'll probably get back to it for a little bit, but...
Well, one of the big announcements that they just made was that they're doing a new spin-off. And it's basically going to be, for lack of a better term, like Brave and the Bold, where I'll read what CBR says. The CW world of superheroes is possibly going to get even bigger. Deadline broke the news that a superhero team-up series is being developed for a possibility debut in the next TV series, or season. The series is expected to star a number of characters that have already appeared in both pre-existing CW shows. Arrow's Brandon Routh, who's the Atom.
Yeah. That's funny. It's like, well, you can't be Superman anymore, but here's the Atom?
Sure. Katie Lotz, who was Canary. Sarah Lance. Victor Garber, who is one half of Firestorm, being per Martin Stein.
Okay.
Captain Cold, Wentworth Miller. I don't know if he should be a bad guy on there. He's bad on the Flash. But there's also, they said, 3 other characters initially that have never been part of any TV series.
Okay.
So it could be Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, could be Vixen, could be a Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter, Stargirl. They run down a list that it could be Mr. Miracle, Ralph Dibny, the Elongated Man,
Okay.
Hawkgirl. I mean, sky's the limit. But I guess the idea is, my first initial thought is, we're going to do a story arc with these characters, and then we're going to have other, a rotating roster.
Okay.
Great. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
It's funny, too, because you'll see with Arrow, they were trying to do basically dark and gritty, where he acts like Batman, where I'm just grim all the time. I'm just grim. And the producers were like, well, we're never going to go into the superheroes, superpowered world. And you'll notice that with the first couple seasons.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you don't have the budget to do it, or say that they decided to do it, something is going to suffer for the money that has to get spent on special effects for it. It's probably just safer to establish the characters that you can do
and
with the budget you have.
They were saying, we don't want to, if we have a whole bunch of superheroes, then what's the point of Green Arrow? But then they started the show The Flash, and when they did the team up with the two of them, the producers went, oh, never mind, we can do this. We can have superpowered people, and I agree with this thought. It makes the person who doesn't have the superpowers look even more spectacular.
Well, yeah, but that's like, okay, if a producer says that, then they probably shouldn't be producing a comic book show. I know in the real world that's not going to happen, but that's like saying, well, if you have Superman, why do you need Batman? It's like,
right.
Like, you don't. I mean, if you think too deeply about it, if you have Superman, you don't need any other superheroes, but they exist in the same world. So,
yep, you
just have to find a narrative way to make it work.
I'll tell you, between you and me, that's where it's called skill with writing. It's fun. You just made a potential easy or lazy man's problem become a fantastic possibility.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's why. The easy answer is you don't. If you have the Flash, do you need Green Arrow? No. But the heroes know who each other are, and the Flash knows that Oliver Queen doesn't have superpowers. But the villains don't know that.
Exactly.
I mean, I fixed the problem. The reason Green Arrow is a hero and the reason he matters is because the villains don't know that he's not a superpowered hero. And also, I mean, I guess at least low-level bad guys, but it's about the struggle of a hero overcoming, the bad guys, basically. It's a tale that you can tell that has some sort of drama and hopefully like a positive outcome. It's not about need.
I agree.
It's about what can you do to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I hate that. I hate when I hear like people who don't know, who aren't creative go, why do you need it? It's like,
yeah. Well,
you don't need anything except food and shelter, but what do you want to accomplish with it?
Well, I've always felt the same way when people say, oh, you can't have the guy and the girl get together, otherwise it's all over. There's no story to tell. I'm like, well, then you're a sucky writer. You shouldn't be in business. Because, and we've seen this more recently with smart writing, it's a whole new story once they're together. Because now you get to see them as a couple, Yeah. It's if you're such a lame writer where you go, I don't know what to do once the boy meets the girl, well, then get out of the business.
Or just don't write those stories.
Well, no, a lot of times it's that type of show like, I don't know what's a classic. Moonlighting was a case where they dropped the ball. That's
Remington Steele?
I guess. I don't know. I never really watched it. Cheers, they always would have Sam and Diane get together, get apart, get together, have a fight. And it got to the point where if Shelley Long had stayed with the show, I don't think the show would have lasted as long as it did because the audience went, we're done. Friends was the same way. Friends was, we got them together. But now instead of having them have a relationship on the show and not, moving on and all that, well, we have to break them up. And then they broke them up for too long to where the last episode, they think, look, there you go. They got back together in the end. Nobody cared by then.
Yeah.
They missed all the potential stories they could have done.
Right.
It's old-fashioned.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's changing now. I don't think that's a thing that for the most part, I think people will go, oh, wait a minute. Okay, no, get them together, but then keep going. It doesn't have to be a, run out of ideas type of thing. I think it's old-fashioned thinking.
It is old-fashioned, and that's one thing that bugs me in entertainment type stuff, because it's so much more complicated than real life necessarily is. It's like when two people are attracted to each other, it hardly ever goes on for that long without, without something happening.
Right.
Regardless of whether or not it's, in the best interest of things. Like, oh, we can't. One of them saying, we know it is, but we just can't do it. It's like, shut up. That's so contrived anymore. It's just unnecessary. It's like, I don't know. I feel like so much of it is just contrived for drama's sake.
Right. And it's one of those where I'm like, well, then why can't let me write it? I can write this. Why is this such a problem?
Yeah. But I mean, I guess narratively speaking, it makes you keep wanting to watch until it happens, basically.
Yeah.
But when the build-up is far too long, all it can be is a letdown afterwards.
Exactly.
So it's like, plan it out better, I guess, maybe. That's the only solution I can think of. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know. Or just don't put it in there.
Right.
Like I always keep saying it, but Captain America 2, no love story. Didn't damage anything about it, Don't introduce a love interest until you're ready to write the love interest story.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
Dom Farah he's an actor that you can find on YouTube and stuff. And he's done like comedy skits and things like that. He did I posted it, I think I tagged you in it, where it looks like a trailer of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming to, ever since the news of Spider-Man coming to Marvel, they have a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent approaching Peter Parker walking down the street.
Oh, okay.
And he plays Peter Parker. I guess he really wants to play Peter Parker. I don't think he looks like Peter Parker enough, but I will say he did an excellent job acting. I'm impressed with his acting. I friended him, and
told him how great it is. But yeah, if somebody looks that up, it's easy to find. I think I have it on my Twitter. But yeah, check him out. I'm pretty sure I tagged you in. It's only like 2 minutes.
I just haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, it's only like 2 minutes. But I was like, wow, for a homemade video, this is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially his...
If you can afford the technology, you can do a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. What else to tell you? Oh, have you heard any news on the Supergirl show?
No.
Well, it's the same producers from Arrow and Flash. It's going to be on CBS.
Okay.
But it doesn't rule out a crossover. Like, they're saying it's supposed to be in the same universe.
Okay.
So they're casting it now. They have their Supergirl, their Jimmy Olsen, who's an African-American guy. Whatever. Who else? They're doing what they did with Flash and a couple other shows where they take the veteran actors who have played other parts in, say, the Superman in the mythology. They have Helen Slater and Dean Cain are going to play parts on the show. And that's very much like having Flash's father be the guy who played John Wesley Shipp. He played the Flash in the 90s version.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Dean Cain.
And
who was he
there?
Did you say?
No, they didn't say who it was going to be yet. They just said that they're at least going to appear in the series.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, hey, why not? Get them in there as, I love that type of stuff. Besides, people who you like to see get work.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else? So that's happening. I don't know much about that. I'm nervous about the Supergirl show, only because up until now, The Flash has been the only show where they've actually shown people, have superpowers, and they haven't tried to Smallville it where no, we're not going to focus on the superpowers. So with Supergirl, you have to let her be Supergirl. If they have it be a CW type, complaining about our emotions and all, and not have her flying around and wearing the uniform, then I think there's going to be problems.
Yeah. I mean, Superman is the Superman family anyway is a hard thing to do justice in television anyway. That's when it's not a cartoon. Live action television, that's going to be hard. But hopefully they could do it well for the fans of that, of that character at least.
Well, if not, I mean, it's gotten easier to do special effects than it had been before, and they have special effects with the Flash, so now all you have to do is have her fly. I just hope they don't try and take away the uniform. You know what I mean? Like, we can't have her in the. I don't know. I'll wait and see. It's just, if we look at the history of Superman on TV, it hasn't necessarily been spectacular.
Yeah, unless you really like Smallville, but
which I don't. I can't, and it's because of many reasons. But one of them was right from the beginning. We're not going to have him in the uniform, and we're not. And well, then you're missing out some great opportunities. And when they would do special effects, I told you they had Michael Shanks on as Hawkman. So after years of not watching it, I'm like, ooh, they're actually going to have the Justice Society on here. Woo, fantastic. Let's see him fly. And they don't have him fly. They have this blur, this color blur, which was supposed to be him flying. And I just thought, that's just lazy. You can't tell me a show that's been on for this many years can't have him levitate.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've seen some YouTube videos that have done really convincing flight work and special effects work.
Exactly.
On the cheap. And they have access to, really good animators, really good special effects guys, and all of the same if not better, software. So what's the holdup? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know it either. I'm not sure why it's not cost effective at this point, but there must be a reason. I don't know.
Well, I hope Supergirl follows along the lines of The Flash and just lets us enjoy the excitement of being a superhero.
Okay, so you posted the video to Facebook, but how awesome does Arkham Knight look?
Oh, right?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I love the whole video game series to begin with.
Yeah, me too.
But, I didn't tell you, did I? I think I did, maybe. I got the, Arkham Origins. I got it through eBay, like, really cheap because it was used.
Oh, cool.
Whoever gave it to me, or sold it to me, kind of lied with their description. It looks kind of beat up. But I didn't really get it for that much, so I'm not really going to complain.
Yeah.
But there was not necessarily a good level of truth in advertising, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you.
Like, at least tell me it's dinged up.
Yeah, that's bad. Like, I play a lot of video games, or maybe not a lot, but I play video games. I don't know how it's so difficult to put a game back in the case. I've never scratched a game unless it was a complete and total accident. I just don't understand how games get that beat up. Like, I'm assuming the back of the disc is scratched, right?
Exactly. It's all like got that multi, light scratch work to it. So once I get to play it and I pop it in, it better work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have. It can't be more than $20 on Amazon.
Exactly.
If less.
Yeah. Well, at the time, Cindy didn't have a job. I was hoping to just buy it for $20 at wherever, but I thought, let's go to eBay. And when I went to eBay, it was like $3. So I'm like, okay, I guess I can't really complain too much if it doesn't work, but I'll be aggravated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope they keep going. I don't know. Even if it doesn't connect with the other games, I just want that level of work put into it. I like the detail. I like, the gameplay.
Yeah, from what I've heard, they said this is the last of the Arkham series. Why, I don't know, but I really don't know. But I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or if we talked about it on the other show, but I'm really hoping that they do. Like, video games can get to a point where you can kind of get them episodically, like it's the same game with the same sort of like creative team and style and stuff, but like, say you buy the game or the disc or whatever, that's what runs it, and it's $40, and you get a game with a storyline, and then it'll just keep going. And I know that's a lot of how like DLC works, but the way I'm trying to explain it is more like how you read comics, where you read one story arc and then you can keep going. So the game would be like, say, it's Spider-Man the game, and then you get the first story arc, and then from then on, you just keep getting, if you want to, the next story arc, and the next story arc, and the next story arc, and it just keeps continuing that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely.
The same game, it's the same action game, and all that stuff. I mean, the way technology is going, and especially video gaming, I could see it as a possibility, but again, I guess it would have to be cost effective for the companies making it. It would have to go over well with fans, all sorts of things, but I could really see that being a thing. Like even if it was you have to have a subscription to it.
Sure.
Or like, say you get a number of properties. On the Marvel side, you get like, okay, you subscribe to the game and it's like, all right, you get Avengers and Spider-Man and X-Men, and then you follow the stories. Or, DC, it's Justice League and Batman and Superman or whatever, and you could just keep going. I don't know. I think that would be, as long as the gameplay was good and it was engaging and the stories were well developed, I think it would be pretty cool. But
yeah, and to have Kevin Conroy doing his Batman voices.
Oh yeah,
that's a must. The guy who they have.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like watching the cartoon, except instead of just watching, you engage with it. You get to fight the battles. You get to save the day, basically.
Right. So. And, the guy who does the Joker's voice after Mark Hamill I think he does an excellent job.
Yeah. In Origins, he sounds kind of just like Mark Hamill.
Mm-hmm.
And I would normally say, you shouldn't really just try to impersonate someone, but in this case, it's like it's already established, and for whatever reason, Mark Hamill didn't want to do it, but I don't know.
Yeah, but hey, whatever. Even the actor said, "Oh yeah, I'm not stupid. I'm definitely trying to sound like him." So,
yeah, it's more just like you don't want to make fans upset.
Right.
I'm sure there are people who are already upset that Hamill wasn't going to do it again for whatever reason, but whatever.
There's only been a couple voice actors whose Joker I didn't like. That was the guy whoever did the voice on The Batman, and the what was the other one? Brave and the Bold, I think it was. Yeah, hated that voice.
Oh, okay. I don't think I ever heard them. So.
Oh, yeah, they're not so great. They're definitely unique. They're definitely their own thing. But hey, are you caught up on Star Wars Rebels?
No.
Okay, where are you?
No, unfortunately not.
They're gonna have
I'm pretty far though. I think I only have a couple more episodes, but to be caught up anyway. But I couldn't tell you what the last episode I saw was, but I will watch it at some point because it's really, really good.
I love it. I really do. And Mikey loves it too. Like, this is really the Star Wars that he's first paying attention to. So when we get to,
good, because it's good.
No, yeah. And apparently the plan is after a season of 2, the way it is, they're actually going to morph it into the original trilogy time. Like we've seen Lando on this show.
Yeah. I saw that episode. That was good.
Yeah.
And they had Billy D. Williams do the voice, which was great.
Yeah, I know, honestly. And they already had the droids on there, which was nice.
Yeah.
And I guess for the season finale, they're going to have Darth Vader on there, too.
Oh, cool. Well, speaking of Star Wars stuff, have you read any of the new comic stuff?
Yes, I adore it. I think it's much
really
better.
Good.
I mean, I enjoyed Dark Horse's run, as brief as it was, but there was a I don't know, spunkiness to it that I love from Star Wars that I just didn't feel it had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was
issues
a lot more.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a lot more self-serious, I think, maybe, might have been the issue.
Yeah, and it had like Han being away from the rest of them, and like, okay, and I lost interest, and I thought, well, if I feel like it, I could always go back to it. But I hopped on board with issue 1 of Marvels, and not only is the art fantastic, but the story is edge of your seat fun.
Yeah. Well, the biggest problem I really did. I really liked the Dark Horse Star Wars. It was just Star Wars. The most recent stuff where it was supposed to take place between New Hope and Empire. I liked it a lot. But the problem with everything that isn't Star Wars right now, anything it was either comics or novels or video games, is it didn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stories that people felt like telling, but it wasn't canon. But, like, this comic right now, and whatever else comes out of it, like whatever other comics are made, whatever novels are written, whatever video games are made, they're going to be considered canon because it's all under one roof. It's all under the Disney banner.
Yep.
So I think what helps with the new Star Wars thing is, first of all, it's really well written. The art is amazing. Like it looks like Mark Hamill, and it looks like Harrison Ford, and it looks like all of the actors who played all of the characters. So that helps. And the fact that it means something now. Like, okay, this isn't just hey, this is how I would tell the story. This is, it's that, but it's also, okay, so this is what happened now. You know, like, it counts. This is real.
Right.
So I think that's what makes it, at least a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, the action was there, and that it was cool to have Luke try and confront Vader so early on.
Right.
He's completely outclassed. There's no chance whatsoever. And to watch him, like, be, like a hyperactive kid trying to attack him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you weren't going to win. He's just kind of toying with you. And the fact that he would have killed him then, you know, if he didn't get distracted, was something too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly very fun. And it's like I said, it's well written. Have you read the Darth Vader stuff or no?
No, only because, I mean, I didn't know if I would like it enough.
Well, it's ties into the thing. Like, it's not a separate, different time period storyline. All of these books are running concurrently, I guess. So it's cohesive with the main Star Wars book, basically. They reference each other.
I saw where he goes to Jabba the Hutt, and that's cool. There's like this panel.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
Where he's standing, and behind him are all the bounty hunters. Like, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
You know, I'll those are things, and there's a Princess Leia one, and I'm just waiting to see if it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll wait a couple issues, because that's the other thing, too. Comics are expensive, and I have to be very choosy. I can't necessarily buy everything I see based on, like, they have one where it's Sherlock Holmes versus Houdini.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, exactly, and I love both of those characters. So I'm, listen to me, character Houdini was real. I want to read that, but I don't know. I'm debating it, 'cause I'll get it eventually. That's the wonderful thing. You could always get it. You don't have to get it immediately.
Right.
So I might just wait until it's collected, and some things you kind of want to see if it's going to be, if it stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Like, I hate the idea of going, oh, that was a complete waste, and I didn't know that until the end.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like, this week, specifically, typically, my comic budget, not budget, but, amount every week is roughly $20, which is manageable.
Okay.
I don't get a ton of stuff. I mean, I guess in the long run I do, like, I read a bunch of titles, but they're spread out, so it roughly comes out to about $20 a month, sometimes less, sometimes maybe a little over. But this week, I think my amount was $45, because
Wow.
so much came out at once. Like, and I still have it. Like, I'm gonna read them when we're done here. I only got through about half of what I bought this week. But it was like, I bought 5 Batman books, I think. It was, no, 4. Arkham Manor, Batman Eternal, regular Batman, and Catwoman.
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Turtles came out. And then, what other books did I have? Darth Vader,
Did you read Spider-Man?
there's a couple more. No, I didn't pick up Spider-Gwen.
I did. I'm curious to see it.
I picked up Spider-Man.
Right.
If it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll let you know. Once I read Spider-Gwen, I'll give you my 2 cents. And,
Okay.
you know, I'm afraid it's going to be one of those, well, it's popular at the moment, and then you're not going to see it in 6 months' time. But who knows? I mean, especially with the whole Marvel Universe changing, if it's cool, they'll have Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy as part of the universe.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, because it's so unclear about what is going to even, like, what Secret Wars really even is, it's hard to say, like, when it comes out the other end, what's going to exist as far as titles. I mean, I think it's safe to assume that you'll have Avengers, you'll have Spider-Man, you'll have X-Men, you know, the main base titles, you'll have a Captain America book. But as far as, like, all of those, for the most part, like, B-list or ancillary characters with their own, with their own monthly titles, will they exist? Will they move to, an existing team book or a completely new team book that's just meant for them?
Right.
I don't know. That's really hard to say, but I'm sure Spider-Gwen will have a pretty strong first story arc, at least, before Secret Wars hits, and then we'll have to see from there.
I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not really picking up anything new until after Secret Wars happens.
And that's funny too, because Cheek actually wrote on DieHeroic.com. His latest article is it worth even bothering to read any titles right now with what we know is coming?
It is if you already know that you like the character, and you want to see what happens in the lead up to that.
Yeah, and like Batman, like I'm always going to read Batman.
Yeah, like when Flashpoint was happening, as soon as Flashpoint issue 1 happened, I think I dropped everything but Batman. Like, that's when I dropped Green Lantern, that's when I dropped Green Arrow, because I was like, well, if they're gonna change everything about everything, what's the point? Maybe even before Flashpoint happened, I might have dropped all those other things. I assumed that they weren't going to change much about Batman, so that's why I kept picking that stuff up, and I was right. So, because they didn't change anything except for the costumes, I believe.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Oh.
I am so excited to just get going with this whole. I don't know how much longer we have to wait.
Yeah.
But let's get going. I want to see stuff. I think that whole month or two where they cancel the normal titles and have what is it? The Cataclysm thing in DC where it's that'll be hit and miss, I think. But I'm very pumped for with the after effect, just like I was with Flashpoint and with the new 52. I'm excited to see the changes.
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I don't want to say like I'm scared
cautiously,
but I'm just that is really what it is. I am excited, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Sometimes, like, sometimes I just like because and I know this happens a lot for other people too, because sometimes people's favorite characters are the low level like B-list characters that just get killed off and stuff like that. But like, I'm worried for Bucky as a character. Like,
right? Oh, stupid thing.
What are they gonna do? You know, all those other characters that I really like. It's like, or what are they gonna do? What are they gonna change? All this stuff. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, yeah, and again, I think this is for DC. It's their way of going. Okay, well, for 3-4 years we've done this New 52. What can we tweak? And I think that's what they'll use it for.
Yeah.
But yeah, still loving Batman Eternal. I know you are.
Yeah, it's great.
I have to catch up. The way I read them is whatever way it shows up on my device, I read them in that order, unless it's, for example, the next issue of Batman Eternal, when I'm done with it, it'll say continue reading, and I'll just read to the end of the line up till this point.
Okay.
You know, so I still have to finish Spideyverse. So I only have to read, I think, the last issue and then the one that just came out this week.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I love. Not to mention, like you're talking about how you're so busy. Well, not only doing all that, but I'm working on the banner, the collection for our, you know, all the characters that I have to color in.
Yeah.
That's giggles fun. Not to mention I did the one for the Die Heroic site, and now I want to do the one that we can use for yours. But
okay.
It keeps you busy. Oh, which reminds me,
yeah, at least it's not.
Did Adam tell you when I had run into him? This is months ago. Cindy and I ran into him.
No.
He had mentioned about, and I know you guys had mentioned this before, if ever we want to perform at one of the shows with you, like do a combination type of thing.
Yeah.
I think I want to do that. I have a hankering. You know what I mean? It might just be me. It may not be Cindy because she would have to watch the kids. But if you don't play after a while, you start to get. And it's been a long winter. I think I want to do that.
You know, it's funny. Before we started, I was going to ask you, like, when was the last time you played, and when is the next time you're playing?
Yeah.
Because we're playing the night before Parade Day, but unfortunately we already have, unfortunately for you anyway, we already have 2 people that we're playing with.
Yeah.
So it would have to be, whenever the next show is, we would have to do that, but...
that's fine. Like I said, just something that I know it was offered, and I forgot that offer was out there. And I'm like, you know what? As much as I love having Cindy there, I've performed shows on my own. I can, I'll gladly go up and play, and if it's something easy enough and you guys feel like jumping on with me, I always welcome that. I've had that happen in the past where, other bands like, all right, and the drummer comes up and just adds the rhythm. I'm like, more the merrier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's keep that thought alive, because like I said, I'm starting to get antsy.
Yeah, I just, you know what, like, we had, the last show that we played, we had nobody show up. So, I mean, like, I would hate to have asked you to open for us or play with us, and number one, like, I think the other band that played with us last time was, like, a screamo band.
Uh-huh.
So, on the spectrum of differences, like, it would have been you doing a lot of, like, folk acoustic, and then a screamo rock band.
Exactly.
And then us.
Yeah. Well, again, that's...
I mean, you might be kind of in the middle, but it's a pretty wide spectrum for us to be in the middle of. And then also to play to nobody is, like, I would have felt bad.
Well, I'll get people there. There's people who are constantly asking when we're playing next, and that I always feel bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Once we get that settled, I'll start bugging people and let them know. And hey, well, I know we should wrap this up, but one last thing that you'll get a kick out of in April, Cindy and I are, oh, that's feedback. Cindy and I are going to ChillerCon. It's,
Okay.
I think in New Jersey. And, the reason we're going is because Mike Nesmith is going to be there. Now he's going to,
okay.
yeah. So any chance to see him again is great. He's going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're just going to go Saturday and like make a day trip of it. But it's neat because I'm looking at the guest list. Now he's the reason we're going, but some of the other people that are going to be there are Scott Wilson from The Walking Dead. He's Herschel.
Okay.
John Schneider from Dukes of Hazzard, who I've always loved ever since I was a kid. Get to meet him. Gonna meet, William Catt, the greatest American hero. He's a big one for me too.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this guest list. There are many, 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 many people throughout the whole spectrum. Gilbert Gottfried just got added to the list.
Huh.
People, Katie Seagal and people from Sons of Anarchy are going to be there.
If you, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
If you have the chance, I can't remember if it was from Cracked or from College Humor, but there's a very recent video that one of the humor websites did of Gilbert Gottfried doing the audiobook for 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, I didn't get to hear it. I saw it though. You know, and
it's really, really funny. It's really, really funny. Worthwhile looking up if you if you're not you have that sense of humor, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm looking at this list. They just added Ralph Macchio, so it's a lot of people are going to be part of this.
Cool.
Yeah, but the headliner's Mike Nesmith, so I'm like, all right. As soon as I found out, I'm like, sweetie, can we please go? It's kind of like our anniversary gift to each other.
Cool.
It's only $25 to get in, so
that's not bad.
Oh, and a chance to get to see him again, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll send you the link just because I think you'll get a kick out of some of the cast who are going to be there.
Yeah, definitely let me take a look at it because, I mean, if I look at it and Mara looks at it and we have the time, the funds and desire, I guess, to go, we might take a ride out there too. I
have my friend from work, Michelle, is going that day too with her girlfriend. So cool. That'd be neat if you guys show up too and just walk around and it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I guess we'll wrap it up. I feel like there's lots that we didn't get to talk about, but I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. Well, there's always next time.
That's true. One other thing I'm going to have on the guest, Chris from, let me see what, I want to get it right. I think it's Marvel versus DC or DC versus Marvel. I'll tell you what, give me 2 seconds and I will tell you for sure. Chris Fogey is his name, and he does one of the Facebook pages that I always post to, and he's like, how hard is it to do? He'd like to be on a podcast. I'm like, well, you're welcome on ours.
Yeah.
Why the heck not? I share the love. And besides, I'd be curious to hear his thoughts on, debates such as those.
Okay.
So I'll get him on. But, yeah, everybody please check out, obviously, our Twitter pages, our, Facebook pages, the Never Gets Old podcast. Thanks for listening for 50 episodes or so. And don't forget to check out dieheroic.com. They have a Twitter page, Facebook page, the main site. Am I forgetting anything? YouTube, yeah. The YouTube page, which I think he's funneling all of that into the main .com site.
Right.
So there's that, too.
And I'm sure all of it gets tweeted. All of it makes its way to Facebook.
Exactly. Exactly.
So whichever avenue you use the most, it's available.
Yeah. And just keep your thoughts coming. We like to hear it, share with everybody. And like I said, thanks for listening this long.
Yeah. If you've made it 50 episodes in however many months or years this has been, then I'm sorry, but thank you.
That's always a good thing to wrap it up with. I'm sorry. And we will catch you guys next time.
Take it easy, everybody.
Bye.